Now, the last thing to consider in terms of our service lifetime is where the operating system comes in. Because remember that as a service, we're much less likely than many other programs to be killed because resources are low. But that doesn't mean we're never going to be shut down when resources are low. So what happens is that we want to tell the operating system what to do in cases where our service is shut down due to low resources. So the way that we indicate to the operating system what to do in the cases when we're killed is that, again, that return value from onStart command. And basically, that return value controls two aspects of our lifetime, but they're always revolving around when we're shut down due to low resources. The first thing is, do we want to have our service automatically restarted when resources again become available? As you can either say, when I'm shut down because resources are low, don't restart me until there's an explicit start service request. Or you can say, if I'm shut down because resources are low, as soon as I have enough resources available, please start me up again. The other question is that, well, if you do wish to be automatically restarted, what do you want to have happen with your onStart command? Do you just want to be restarted and let run? Or do you want to have the last thing you were working on be passed into you again? In other words, repeat the last intent that you received before you were shut down. So there are basically 4 return values that you can pass back from onStart command. And in practice, there really are 3. So now, basically, the first one is the one we've seen in our demo, right? Start not sticky. What that basically says is that, you know what, go ahead and start the service when there's a start service request. Keep it running until it gets shut down. If it's shut down for resource reasons, in other words, there was no explicit stop request, but it was shut down due to resources, you don't need to start it up again until someone actually asks for it. In other words, not until there's another start service request. The opposite of that is start sticky. Start sticky says that if I'm shut down for resource reasons, as soon as there is enough resources, go ahead and start my service up again. Now, when you go ahead and you start me, your onStart command is always going to get called, but when you set it to start sticky, it will actually pass a null intent to tell you that it's a restart. So that's basically how you tell an automatic restart from an explicit start service call when you're returning start sticky. Is that if you get a null intent, that means it was an automatic restart. There was nothing specifically requested of you. Now there's also start redeliver intent. And what that's for is that if you're saying, well, my service was doing something, and if it got shut down for resources and didn't get a chance to finish what it was doing, then go ahead and start it up and pass me that same intent again. So the way that works is that if you get an incoming request and you actually call stop self result based on that start ID, and if you're shut down in that case, you stay shut down until there's a new start request. If, however, you get a request in, you start working on it, your service is shut down for resource reasons before you had a chance to actually call stop self result. Well, then in that case, when you're restarted, when there are enough resources, you will again have your onStart command and receive that same intent that you received last time. Right? So it's useful for when you want to go ahead and make sure you finish each individual task. The last one is start sticky compatibility. That is basically, as its name it sounds, it's for compatibility reasons. It really only comes into play when you're trying to support services on devices that are Android 1.6 or older. And it's kind of good to know that at the time of this recording, less than 4% of devices out there are still running 1.6 or older. Okay, but if you do need to support them, that's where start sticky compatibility comes in. But I really encourage you to take a close look at the service documentation if you need to do that, because there are a lot of special considerations that you have to be aware of if you're going to support those older devices. So the question is, how do you choose the right onStart command return value for your situation? Well, basically, start not sticky, right? That's great for non-essential services, right? Where when there was something for you to do, you got started. You may have chosen to keep running because it was meaningful, but if you were shut down for resource reasons, you can live with it, right? So that you're really kind of saying this service is useful, but if resources are constrained, when I'm shut down, you don't need to restart me unless somebody really asks for it. Start sticky is for those scenarios where you've got a service that you really want to remain active, right? Where you want something to stay running. Maybe you're doing some kind of important monitoring, or you're doing some other kind of really important interaction. Where, if you guys shut down for resource reasons, man, you want to get that thing running again as soon as you can. Right? In the start redeliver intent, I often think of that kind of as transactionally oriented things, where you get something to do, and you want to make sure that each thing you do gets a chance to run to completion. Once you finish something, you don't need to be restarted. But if you didn't finish, you want to make sure you do finish. The thing to remember, though, is that if you're doing work inside your service where duplicate processing might be a problem, you got to be careful with start, redeliver intent, right? Because if you were running, you got that intent, and then you got shut down before you finished, where you're going to get that intent again. And so you got to make sure you don't duplicate processing if that's a problem for your application.